and welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin. And this time it's a classic. I got some questions in an email, and so I thought I would do my best to answer them. And it's a relatively self-professed new subscriber to the channel, so thank you for subscribing, Tatiana. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate everybody who's checking out the channel, and I'll do my best to answer your questions here. So let's just jump right in. Let's read this email. So, just found the channel recently and wanted to ask you a few questions. Note that I'm a 17-year-old girl in high school with lots of knowledge about Japan. I've watched multiple videos about people saying that teaching Japan is the worst and is the best or in between, but I noticed that most people aren't fluent in Japanese or don't have a degree. I'm looking at some universities and noticed that Hawaii Pacific University actually has a major in teaching English to other languages. Would having a degree get you accepted faster, easier? So to answer that first question, basically, I guess it's like a two-tier answer I can give to you. Yes, most of the jobs that you're going to get within the public school system or eikaiwas are going to require a degree. So for you to get a degree is paramount in importance. So you absolutely need to grab that degree if you want to have one of these more mainstream jobs that are available to you. Second to that, you pointed out that this is a degree specific to teaching English to other languages, and that is only a benefit. I don't think it gives you a huge leg up in, say, your initial application. Like, they're just mostly looking at people who have a degree, but that's for kind of a base level company. If you're applying for something like Jet is a little more specialized, pays a little bit more. That's a good thing to have. Like, I encourage people. That's what I try and let people know, is that if you get a TESOL, if you get a degree that's more focused on something like teaching English specifically, especially like this one you say is to people where it's not their first language, then you're going to have a better chance with what you might call premium companies when you come over to teach in Japan. Second to that, I'd make a recommendation as well. If you can do anything that deals with young children, there's a lot of companies, private companies outside of the school system, that once you have a little bit of experience, if you teach young kids, there's lots of good options for high pay levels somewhere around, the average. If you go into gaijin plots, you'll see kind of an average around something like 230,000 yen to 250,000 yen, and a lot of these jobs are prorated. Gift and a curse, where you're going to have lots of time off, but you actually aren't going to make as much because you won't get paid the full amount on that month because they give you all these holidays or they don't need you for the entire month. Where these other places that teach privately that are more oriented towards younger children, they'll often have that flat rate pay and might even be around 290,000 yen, say up to 330 something, in some cases even beyond with bonuses. I keep hyping on this one, like, more people should know about it, generally speaking, even though I failed miserably. The company JIEC, they're very specific about that. And also something, a little tip, because JIEC works with these younger kids, if you get in and you can request working with elementary school kids, then you'll already start to build experience towards, one of these more premium companies. But yeah, I'll give you the long answer there. But if you're going to go for something that is specific to teaching English, that's great. And it gives you a greater chance to be hired by somebody like Jet, who is, they got a few more perks. Potentially, it's not always the case. But on an average, I would say that that's more desirable than something like Peppy Kids Club or the company that I work for, which is Interact. Okay, so let's continue. So yeah, faster, easier. Not only is it faster, it's probably the only way to get in, even at the base level. You would need that degree. What type of school is best to teach English in? Would it be best to tutor or to actually teach in Japan as a career? Well, I just did a video recently to talk about teaching in Japan as a career, and somebody pointed out very, very well, very aptly pointed out that what I was trying to argue for was that, I've tried to learn Japanese. I've been here for 3 years, and I would say, I'm at a conversational level, and that does kind of limit you, basically. And I would argue, in my position, for what I value, that teaching English here is not a career choice. that I would make, but I would back that up, and I think other people may think similarly. So if you want to check that out, like specific answers to the question of whether it's a career or not, check out the video with the thumbnail with the pink elephant, the elephant in the room, or the thumbnail, as it were. But I'm not going to miss that point. If you can learn Japanese fluently, it really does open doors for sort of things like English in business education outside of the school system. And if you have that, then there isn't all these different ceilings and limitations in pay that I would say teaching English in the public school system, then I would discourage people looking at it as a career choice. More options open up to you if you speak Japanese fluently. Surprise. But for all my efforts, that is something I've tried, and yeah, I could be a better student, absolutely, but yeah, I'll just own up to it and say I'm not ready to get to, or it's not my interest, it's not been my ability to get to that level of fluency that you would need. But if you do want to think about it as a career, that's incredibly, incredibly important, and probably why the vast majority of people don't do the English as a career. Or, I'm starting to ramble a bit, if you do get fluency to that level, then you wouldn't even need to teach English. You could do so many jobs in Japan provided you have a degree. And you have business level Japanese. So what type of school is best, though? Like I was saying there, if you want to preemptively get into somewhere where you're teaching privately and with kids, I would just suggest going to an elementary school or requesting elementary schools to build that experience with younger kids, right? That's a no-brainer. Also, you could say what type's good to work with. If you go with eikaiwas are kind of like after school, that's Peppy Kids Club. So if you're a night owl, that's a good choice for people. I'm not. I really like having my weekends. They're also less predictable with the holidays that you get. I like my weekends. I like getting up early and then having the evening off like I have now. So that's a personal preference. If I were to give advice, I would say go with the more predictable schedule of the public school system. I think that's better than having your evenings off. And even when you get to sleep in, you feel like your whole day's gone anyways because you have to work in the evening. You don't get to relax with that eikaiwa kind of thing. The tutoring question. If you work for somebody like Interact, you could tutor outside. And in fact, if you network well enough at the schools, you can end up getting a bunch of extra students. And I've had friends who've taught upwards of 5 students. It gets busy. I mean, you have no time, but you're making some serious extra bank on top of what it is that you're making at the school, and it's allowed. It's okay. But I would say in addition. I would usually say in addition. I don't think tutoring on its own would really be enough to support yourself, my opinion. Where would it be best to teach English? I plan on moving and living in Japan after I become fluent. After you become fluent. I don't know if you want to do it after. I mean, the best place that you can gain fluency would be in Japan, so that's my recommendation. If you want to become fluent in Japanese, live in Japan. Make friends. Speak to people. Okay, plan on moving after I begin. So I have an easier time there, but I want my career to be stable. I want to help the Japanese population have better English skills since Japan, as well as Korea, spend the most money on English education, but the results are poor. In the end, I want to help Japan's future generations so they can communicate with the world easier. That's very noble of you. That's a wonderful thing to do. That already makes you a better teacher. You're not just here, for narcissistic, self-indulgent reasons. You want to help the people here. No, a lot of people do, and that's good that you do. And really, I would say this, that because you have that interest in any one of these avenues that you teach in, you'll find success because to the company's mind, I also mentioned this in the video for like this level of public school teaching, that you would put in additional effort means very little to the company. For them, they want to keep their contract, and they're going to be just as happy with somebody who doesn't cause any noise, who is not an exceptional teacher, but does the job, retains the contract for the company. But for your own personal fulfillment, and I still try and do this a bit more as well, although don't expect that it's going to like launch your career. You have to do that through these other avenues of fluency or with different companies here. It's just more fulfilling. It will be, and the schools will totally appreciate it. You'll have a more fulfilled experience. You'll have better relationships. You'll have long-lasting relationships, and so that's great that your ambition is not just to come here and kind of check in and check out. You'll Of course it's better if you align yourself like that when you come to Japan. So I hope that does a half decent job of answering your questions. And of course, Tatiana, if you have any others, you can always comment down below and I'll write back to you as soon as I can. Or for anybody else checking this out, just like she did, get a hold of me through the contact information that I put down below. Say you want to do like she has, write me something that is a little more lengthy and you don't want to just put it into the comments section. And I've mentioned before, it's a really good way to get a hold of me because that particularly grabs my attention, where sometimes I'm not going to pretend I'm not a big deal. And even though I don't have that many people commenting, sometimes, you know, human frailty, I just miss a comment sometimes, and so that's a great way to grab my attention. Yeah, so for those of you just catching the video now, I hope you do like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy something like this. If not, I just appreciate you dropping by. I appreciate all the subscribers. You know I do, old and new. You're the reason that the channel exists. Otherwise, I would just be talking to myself more than I usually do. All right, so like I like to say, thanks for tripping with Dave. Ciao for now. Peace.